we're moving on to wall elbow curls. So for wall elbow curls, you're going to come to the wall like this. You're going to stand with your parallel feet alignment and trying to keep the middle of your toes, middle of your ankles, middle of your knees, and the middle of your hips all in alignment with one another, watching that the toes are not splaying out to the side, using your sort of second and third toes as your guide. They should be in alignment with the ankles. We're going to stand with our bottom and our calves and our heels back against the wall, and the exercise that we're going to do looks a bit like this. So we're bringing our elbows together, taking them back to the wall, bringing them together, taking them back to the wall. However, as with all of these exercises, it's always harder than you think, because there's some cheats that your body's going to want to do. So we're going to do golfer's grip. So golfer's grip is not a fist, and you're not kind of weak and floppy through your hands, definitely not weak and floppy through your hands. You're straight up until that first knuckle, tucking the other fingers into the hand, extending the thumb out wide. So you're keeping your hands super, super rigid. And as we do this exercise, I want you to imagine that your arms are a door and the hinging is occurring at the shoulder, not through the fingers. So you're not kind of making your fingers loose, and definitely not through the wrist either. So as we do this, what you might notice is that you want to lead with your wrists. So can you see there how my wrists are moving further forward first, and then I touch my elbows? Or you might notice that you want to go the other way, where you're leading with your elbows and the wrist is further behind. So we do not want it to be that you have this bend at the wrists or weakness through the hands. So you might be doing it that way, or you might be doing it where you lead with the wrist that way. It should feel like, or it should be, a straight line from the fingers, the wrist, the elbow, and the shoulder. And that's going to happen if you focus on keeping that real rigidity through your hands. So we want this type of movement. Can you see there? It's like a door. The hinge is occurring at my shoulders. My wrists and my hands are not compensating, which is very common. So we're coming back to the wall, parallel feet, golfer's grip. You're going to have your fingers on your temples, thumbs facing down, super, super active through your fingers and through your thumbs. And you want to make sure that your shoulders aren't up by your ears. So some of you will be here and the shoulders have shot up. You're trying to pull your shoulder blades back and down into the middle of your spine. So you're trying to pull them together, but you're also trying to pull them down away from the ears, which is separate. Focus more on your shoulders than your arms and how fast or how far they're moving. So if you're doing this as you get going, your neck's probably going to start hurting and the shoulders aren't locked in a stable position. You might need, in order to control your shoulders, to move through this range of movement. That is more beneficial for you than trying to do the full thing but failing horribly. So work within your own proper range of movement where you're focusing on all the various cues. You're definitely not pushing yourself through pain. So if one of your shoulders is painful doing this movement, or if anything else is painful, keep going for a little bit longer, but try and back out of the exercise slightly. So maybe you're not trying to get quite so much movement. Maybe you're focusing a little bit more on your shoulders staying down and reducing the movement. Maybe you're focusing a bit more on trying to keep the hands tighter. And if it continues to hurt, then stop the exercise, but basically always work to the lowest common denominator. So if your right shoulder hurts, for example, don't just like carry on going on that left-hand side. We want balance. So try and find a position where both of your shoulders are moving as balanced and as pain-free as possible. So parallel feet, bottom stays at wall, hands in golfer's grip, fingers to temples, thumbs facing down, super, super active, rigid hands. They do not get floppy through the exercise. Pull the shoulders together and pull them down away from your ears. And as you do that, you're trying really hard not to flare the rib cage up. So as you start moving your shoulders, if you lack the ability to kind of glide your scapula down the back of your rib cage, you might notice that your body tries to puff your rib cage up. The sternum will face upwards as a compensation. Keep the sternum down, the rib cage down. It's the shoulders that are moving, not your rib cage. Okay, so if you can, you're going to start with your elbows back against the wall, but you're not starting with your elbows back against the wall if that means that your shoulders are around your ears, or you're puffing your rib cage, or if you're in pain. So you're trying to get them wide, but you're working within your own limits. So my shoulders are staying down. I definitely have a tendency to lift my shoulders up, so I have to really focus on that depression of the shoulders. Then, hands stay rigid, everything moves in a straight line, I'm going to bring my elbows together like this, and I'm going to take them back. Notice how I'm not leading with my wrists or leading with my elbows. It's a straight line, imagining that door. Hands are active, you have to have active hands. Tucking the rib cage down, pulling the shoulders down. We're going to do 25 reps, do as many as you can, and stop if you need to at any point. Off we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I'm going to stop us here, shake it off. I want us to reset. The longer you go through the exercises, the more likely you are to lose form, because you've got a lot to think about and you get tired and your brain forgets. So we're going to set up again for the final 10. So body is back at the wall in the parallel foot position. Golfer's grip, fingers to temples, thumbs facing down, active hands, pulling shoulders back and down, but keeping the rib cage tucked in rather than allowing it to flare. Taking the upper arms back to the wall if you can, keeping the shoulders down away from the ears. Last 10, off we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm getting some clicking in my shoulder, which is good. 8, 9, and 10. That is wall elbow curls.